I'm Caitlin Matson. This is the Green Room on the Classical Cafe. With me in the Green Room today is Holly Mulcahy, who you all know as the concertmaster of the Wichita Symphony Orchestra. She wears many hats, though, and one of them is she is the founder of a nonprofit called Arts Capacity, which brings music and the arts into prisons to the incarcerated, which is just fascinating. Hello, Holly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm delighted that you're here and excited to hear all about how you've developed this nonprofit and how it's grown. And it's grown so much that it's found its way here to Central Kansas. You are performing next week at the Hutchinson Correctional Facility.
Yes, we are. We've got a really exciting program. It's going to be our first time visiting a Kansas prison, and we've got some of my fellow Wichita colleagues coming along for the ride, and we're really excited to see if we can duplicate the data and the exciting results we found in Georgia at the Georgia State prison systems.
Where did this idea come from? And how did you find yourself being so interested in it, and the rehabilitative powers of music that you decided to form your nonprofit?
It started kind of just an aside. I mentioned to a friend, a patron of the Chattanooga Symphony, where I was concertmaster, that I was curious about his action with the prison. He was a prison mentor, and I said, if you ever need a violinist to come in, I'm free to come and play a recital. And he took me up on the offer. So I said, sure, I'll do that. I had a recital planned for the University of Wyoming. And so I just duplicated what I was going to take to Wyoming and did it in the prison. And I added a few what I considered safe pieces because I was playing some Jennifer Higdon, some really, kind of edgy American composers. And so I brought in some Bach and, I just played. And the way I do my recitals is I play and then I hear from the audience. I ask, what did this mean to you? How did it make you feel? Did you see anything?
Mm.
And it was really interesting. I assumed that they would really dig the Bach that I brought in, but they went right to the Higdon. They went right to the Jim Stevenson. They went right to the Mark Mellits. The Bach was good. Bach's good. But this other stuff was amazing. And that kind of opened my eyes and found the true nature of the power of music for an incarcerated population.
And from there, you expanded your vision of what arts capacity could do. And it has grown in such a way that you just had the most amazing milestone in January. Tell us about what happened.
Well, with each of our recitals, Arts Capacity has been in operation 6 years. Each of the recitals, we offer a survey so that we can get feedback of where the prisoners are with their musical experiences compared to the last time that they had a musical experience. And with each survey we get back, some of them say, we should do a musical, we should do an opera. And 6 years ago, an opera would not have been my goal. I know nothing of the opera world. I mean, I played in an opera house orchestra, but beyond that, I don't know anything. So I said, sure, let's do an opera. After 6 years of data, listening to prisoners wanting that, we put together one. So we came up with a libretto using the prisoners' stories. The story was created off of 3 questions. Who were you before you came? Who are you right now? Who do you hope to be? So we found a story arc of really damaged individuals, people who are miserable, who hated life, drug dealers, abusers, to people who right now are trying to, they know that they are damaged. They know that they need to improve, to people who in the future, they want to be good fathers. They want to, give back to society. They want to be helpful. So that was the basis of this opera libretto. And then we brought in 2 opera singers to be the protagonist and antagonist in this opera. It was 20 minutes long. The music was written by composer Tim Hink, and it just was remarkable to watch their story being played out with them. They made the props, they helped work the props in the sets, and they had a little prisoner chorus that joined. And it was really exciting. We had the community involved as well.
Powerful. They first of all, the hands-on aspect is wonderful. Just the creativity. You make the props. We're going to have you, kind of be the stage crew, but then to also allow them to perform. Uh, where was the performance at? Was it at the prison itself?
Yes, there were two performances. One of the very first questions we asked the prisoners is, who do you want this opera to be for? Who do you want the audience to be? Initially, Arts Capacity, my friends who run it, thought that it would be for the prisoners, but the prisoners said, we want this to be for humanity. And it was very clear that they wanted this to be outside of the prison. We did the world premiere inside the prison and then took out props very meticulously. They're made from cardboard. They look like real things, a boat and a tree. And we took all these props out after the premiere and transferred them to the Chattanooga Theater Company, where we debuted the second performance. And this to the prisoners legitimized their work.
Yes.
A little piece of them was taken outside, but it also, beyond that, the community conversation afterwards was incredible. The people really felt that art.
Well, we'll talk all about that in just a few moments. But this is a taste of the sort of repertoire that Holly will take into a prison when she gives a recital. She said anything from, modern contemporary works to Bach. And this is the first movement that Holly and her colleagues will perform for the Hutchinson Correctional Facility next week. It is the first movement of Mozart's Clarinet Quintet. We'll be right back with Holly Mulcahy. The first movement of Mozart's Clarinet Quintet, which will be performed at the Hutchinson Correctional Facility. Holly Mulcahy, the founder of Arts Capacity, a nonprofit which brings the arts into prisons to the incarcerated. Holly is bringing her program to Kansas. Now, next week, she and her colleagues, members of the Wichita Symphony, go and perform at the Hutchinson Correctional Facility. And then next month, it's El Dorado. Now, you've told us what you're performing, and I'm curious about just some of the logistics about getting clearance to come in and perform in a prison. And what sort of training do you have to go through to be a volunteer and getting in the door?
It is extremely red tape involved, as you can imagine. I myself have a volunteer badge. I took a course through Hutchinson, and that should be good for the state of Kansas, for other prisons. I think it is. But for guests like my fellow colleagues, passing a background check. So there's like a month-long process of handing over your identification. They do a background check. Then there's informing the people that we bring in what to wear, what not to wear, because if you're male and you're wearing jeans, you cannot come in jeans in the Kansas facilities because the prisoners are wearing jeans. So you don't want to be left there. Also, you're not allowed to bring in a cell phone. You're not allowed to bring in a smartwatch. So basically, everybody's going to be bringing in their ID, and that's it. And if they're a musician, they're bringing in their instrument and music. And we have to provide a list of itemized, items that are itemized on a list for the guards, so that they know that we're going to be bringing these out as well. So it's very complicated, and it's a process. It takes a long time to kind of get it, all the moving parts. And then we send out directions and kind of like the kinds of people that we'll be playing for, just to kind of build empathy and make our guests and musicians feel comfortable. It sounds really scary to be playing in a prison, but so far, it has been some of the most rewarding performances I've ever had in my life. Having people like really need this artistic experience and then react to it in such a positive way, and then to see the results of how they exist after a recital. It brings calm, it brings focus, it brings intelligence, emotional intelligence is what I'm trying to say.
And the research is out there proving, how important the arts are in terms of rehabilitation for so many of the incarcerated, the ones whose crimes we wouldn't necessarily categorize as extreme. Just somebody went the wrong way, nurture versus nature.
Yeah.
And the opportunity that they have to experience something like this really can open them up to a whole new way of dealing and coping and moving forward.
It definitely is a tool. And so many prisons are giving tools like how to lay carpet, how to weld, but to address emotions in a positive way, we're using a lot of music therapy kind of devices, offering music as a way to meet people where they are and then ratchet it up or ratchet it down, depending on where people are. If they're feeling frustrated and angry, you want to meet them where they are and then take them down to something a little lighter and a little happier, but you've got to meet them where they are. You can't just assume to bring in music to make people feel good. Like, oh, let's bring in some waltz music. That'll make people feel good.
That's
That's
that's exactly what these prisoners need, a
no,
good
I can
feeling
assure you it
waltz
is not.
to help them jump up and be happy. No, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. I think, and it's just so how very humanizing and important to be like, yeah, you want to know something? Your life sucks right now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how this feels and let's listen to some music together and see if we can't process some things. I think it's really powerful.
It really is. And the program we've got designed, since we don't know yet our Hutchinson audience yet, we've just designed a general program. We're starting it off with solo Bach. We're going to solo Stravinsky on clarinet. We're doing a world premiere violin and viola piece by a film composer, Peter Golub out of LA. We're going to a quartet, a very sentimental kind of quartet by Delshon Taylor. And then we're ending with the Mozart. So we're kind of going the gamut of emotions and just seeing where it takes people.
Well, congratulations on how successful arts capacity has been and continues to be. And I hope that your experience next week is what you hope it is, and I hope you get wonderful feedback from the inmates, the prisoners there. And it's exciting that this has now found its way into central Kansas. You know, they're at Leavenworth. They had, I don't know if they still do, a prison choir that became quite well known in northeastern Kansas. This reminds me a lot of that. So it's really special. And thank you for bringing it here to central Kansas.
We're looking forward to it.
All right, you can see Holly on stage of Century 2. The next Wichita Symphony Orchestra concert is this coming Sunday. All things majestic. We look forward to that performance. We'll see you there. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.